if I tell someone that I suffer from mental health issues, they're like, there's no way. They're like, we listen to you in the morning. You sound like the happiest guy in the world. But again, the generation that my dad grew up in was, if you were to say you were depressed, the answer was go outside and get some fresh air or snap out of it. And we as men, we're not tuned or trained to speak about mental health.
And when we do get together and talk to each other, it's not about deep stuff like emotions, like fears, like our vulnerabilities. You know, it's about talking about sex and the lousy job and sport and things like that. In my 49 years, I think 47 of them were spent bottling things up inside, dealing with my issues in my own way, struggling with my demons. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've been able to speak my truth to other people, to other men, and I know from personal experience what a profound effect, positive effect, that has had on my life.
I'm doing this event because we need to get young men, especially young men, to talk about mental health. Why? Because the rate of suicide among young people is skyrocketing. Actually, worldwide, the rate is 3 to 1 as compared to women, yet women are the ones who have most mental health challenges. So we are trying to reach out to the boy child and get him into these safe spaces, get him to reach out. In our organization, 90% of the people who reach out are women and girls. And that has been a concern for us. Why? Because then we realize young people who are boys and men are not reaching out.
There's that sentiment that there is a way men are supposed to be, and to live like a man is supposed to mean certain things, which means you do not show pain, you do not show stress, you do not show strain, you just kind of humiliate and push through it. But more and more we're finding that many men are being overwhelmed by that.
These events haven't really existed much in the past. I think it's going to be open and raw and honest. I think you'll see speakers who are speaking from the heart. And that sort of engagement will hopefully encourage other men to be able to speak out themselves.
We're very happy to have you all here with us this evening. Now, I know the subject matter may be, I don't want to use the word depressing, but we are talking about, of course, mental health and its effects on men, but I want us to all have a good time and to learn quite a bit from today's proceedings. We have a great panel of experts. I wouldn't say experts, I won't say in any particular field, but experts on the topic that we're talking about today, and that's men and the issues of mental health as well.
So my name is Nkiza. I am the CEO of Inuka Wellness, a digital mental health platform. You all downloaded the app. I hope everybody has taken a well-being scan this evening so they know how they're doing. I'm sure we have a mixed crowd, a resilient crowd, but no matter your mental health status, just know that you can talk to an Inuka Wellness expert.
Put your hands together for mental health champion Eddie Kimani.
This indeed is a great opportunity that has come at a time when we need to be having a platform where we can engage, go a little bit deeper and even further on this very important conversation, and more so right now amongst men. Having been in media for that long, having had so much success in being on TV, being on radio, being on stage, being in films, it felt as if it was a time for me to try something new, something challenging, and I took up a role in public service, and I went and joined the county government of Nakuru as their director for communication. And one of the things that I did not expect was to fail, was to become a loser. I made very many wrong decisions with my life. I failed my marriage, I failed my children, I got into deep financial crisis, personal financial crisis. That pushed me to the edge of giving up. And through that very dark season, I got into depression. But as a man, what did I tell myself? What did you think I told myself? Pambana na hali yako. But through that tail end of my dark season, I had my Damascus moment. And by that time, my life had been pushed to a point where I ran away from my surroundings. I went all the way to the south coast, thinking of running away from my problems.
When does a boy turn to an African man? Is it at 13, 18, 21, 25? Or maybe it's when you get enough money to provide. For who though? What does provide even mean? Mandela says he became a man when he was circumcised and didn't cry. Apparently I was circumcised when I was 1 year old. If I cried, does it really even count?
When Bright asked me to come and share my story, I have been kind of where to start, but I guess anyways as good as it gets. I have this success story, I'm the man, this guy, living in a good neighborhood, got a car, my wife has got a car, one of our sons who is of age has got a car, my daughter started going to university, she got a car, so this was what you call life. So at 54, in 2013, when everything was working perfectly for me, like we would go to holidays abroad and that kind of thing. I'm not remembering the day, but sometimes in October, in 2013, I was diagnosed with cancer of the stomach. The 3 months I was there, my son, who was a pilot, dropped from college because I had to be accompanied in India, and we stayed there together for 3 years. For 3 months, and we became very close. Okay, we'd always been close, but we became closer because, we're in this strange land. And of course, when I came back, then the insurance refused to pay, so now here was a case where, I sold a lot of things. And then I got into very serious financial problems, like my friend said. So these 2 kids of mine could not go to school. They had to stop. So, we're sitting in the house, I'm ailing, I'm broke. Then my wife had just changed professions, so it was not quite caught up. In 2017, things started looking up. So, I started doing some work, I started making some money, so my children now went back to school. One Thursday I got home, and my wife was sitting with my son in the TV room. And so we started talking, and then my son was supposed to go somewhere with the mom or something like that, and he went to his room. Thursday afternoon, around 2, 3 o'clock, and then, he didn't come back again. So he said, let's go and call him. So I call him, he's not answering. So I'm like, and by the way, he had booked his final exams for the pilot the following morning, Friday. He was to fly a route he has been trying to fly. But he was very excited that day that he's going to fly to Magadi on his final test flight before he gets the license. So we call him, he's not answering. So we look for a spare key and open it, and we find him hanging from a window. He's already dead. And that was the biggest shock in our lives. I still even get goosebumps when I talk about it. So this young man had taken his life. We didn't know he was depressed. But over time, we started thinking that maybe it's because he dropped out of college for about 5 years. So most of his contemporaries were already working. In fact, some of them would come with blue Subarus to my house and pick him, generally just to have fun. What really brought this on? We've never been able to figure out. But one of the things as a family we said, because conversation opens the door for other people to talk. We said, we are not going to hide this. We told everybody that this young man committed suicide.
Wanaume weka bandage when in strong backbone familia imevunjika. Daily bread wanaume usijaribu kulose when in strong ziko palace almost kutirika. Wanaume ni kujikaza. Wanaume ni kujigamba. Wanaume ni kichwa. One for the road ni sawizi thoughts. Drami thoughts ni kumbuke jukumu langu kuu na hasira.
I'm just honored to moderate this panel. I'm a communicator in a podcast. I do a podcast called Living Truthfully. And it's a podcast for men, about men, listened to mostly by women. the conversation we're going to have today has already started. Because it's about manhood, the journey of manhood. Growing up, you must have had an image of manhood that you wanted to be. So maybe look back at an 8-year-old version of you.
And then if I think about my father, it's only when we were talking about backstage earlier that I thought about my father as being a profound influence on my early years. He was a high-flying businessman, party animal, workaholic, never there. And looking back, he wasn't a good father. And I just, it's hit me like a kick in the nuts that's the man that I became,
My dad was a hero to me as well. It was mostly when he was really, he was there the whole time. He was an amazing dad. But being in my late 30s now, I understand a lot of the struggles that he was going through. And I can understand now why he would appear to me as an 8-year-old to be a bit distant, a bit authoritative, and never really giving. It was hard to elicit praise from him.
As I reflect now and look back on it, and I do a lot of amendment lists as I've gotten older, and that's through another story which I'm sure we'll touch on later, I realized that behavior was poor. And I've made a lot of apologies about that as well. So as much as at the moment, I was king of the hill and it was great, don't get me wrong. But as you get older and you look back and you realize I'm 2 failed marriages in, you know what I mean? And I think that has a lot to do with what I went through and what I put people through in those days, so yeah.
I think from my context, it was to my grave disappointment. I had all the women in my life, but they all just wanted to be my friend. And I didn't understand why. And I had a lot of women who wanted to spend time with me, wanted to confide in me, never wanted to do anything else. So in my younger years, that was just a source of grave disappointment, but probably has contributed very significantly to a much more kind of stable and sustainable growth.
And it's amazing because now we begin to realize as women that men actually have feelings. And so what I'd like to ask are 2 questions. As the women in your lives, you're our brothers, husbands, colleagues, and everything, how can we as women in real practical ways support you so that you can, 1, get in touch with your feelings, or also help you through whatever it is that you're going through? Practical ways, not just real, what can we do? Outside of prayer, particularly because I'm a pastor, outside of praying for you, what is it that we can actually do?
We need to start talking to men in the detail and in the open way we talk to women.
How can we define ourselves outside of the perception that women have on us, because we've mentioned that in the stories?
How do you define yourself outside of your job and the things that you do? I think Jason gave us a really good answer. By your values. Like if you're able to create the values of who you are, you're kind, you're compassionate, you're honest, like that's such a great way to define yourself. Your job will pay in the kind of person that you really are. I'd like to thank this gentleman for sharing their lives with us. Please give him
Yeah, so this is going to be the first of a series of talks. We're going to share more. We'd appreciate to get feedback from you, how this event went, what you'd like to see changed. And we hope that we're going to engage more and learn more. So I'd love to just also mention that myself, the journey that led me to start this organization was that I went through depression and I had no safe space. And so for me, it was all about opening up more safe spaces for youth to talk about mental health. And so I'm really happy to have this day where so many young people come in to talk about mental health. Thank you so much.
Damu sikivunjika, nje bado ni smart. Juu ya motorbike ndio kuna baridi moss. Sijui kuswim nikisipu tanipata nimeflow.
The good thing is that this event has partnered with an amazing app, and this is a very interesting innovation that brings mental health into the focus of technology and innovation. The Inuka app is basically an opportunity for you to be able to engage anonymously with somebody, and especially for men, that being the case that we do not talk freely with anybody, the app gives an opportunity to continue the conversation after this event. Now, the partnership with, of course, Mental 360 and Inuka app gives men after this event an opportunity to continue on that, using that space to address issues that they may have that they may not be able to engage with anybody else, even their siblings, their parents, their friends. So there is a continuity to it. But more importantly, the conversations that we start here should be able to live on and move on after the event.